What's the problem with Kamala Harris? Why does she make Democrats nervous? Don't think she makes Democrats nervous? Then why won't Nancy Pelosi endorse her?
Is Vice President Kamala Harris the best running mate for this president?
He thinks so, and that's what matters. And by the way,
you think so?
She's very politically astute. I don't think people give her enough credit. She's, of course, values-based, consistent with the president's values and the rest. And people don't understand, she's politically astute. Why would she be vice president if she were not? But when she was running for attorney general in California, she had 6% in the polls. 6% in the polls. And she politically astutely made her case about why she would be good, did her politics, and became attorney general. So people shouldn't underestimate what Kamala Harris brings to the table.
But do you think she is the best running mate, though?
She's the vice president of the United States. So when people say to me, well, why isn't she doing this or that? I said, because she's the vice president. That's the job description.
Why won't Jamie Raskin, a fellow Democrat, simply say she'd be the best candidate for vice president?
It's not no one's making it about personalities. I mean, it's just a simple question. Do you think Kamala Harris is the best running mate for President Biden? You've said she's excellent. That's farther than Speaker Pelosi went. But do you think she's I'm not trying to throw anything into turmoil. I actually think it's a pretty simple question. Do you think Kamala Harris is the best running mate for President Biden? Yes or no?
I mean, I don't know what else I can say other than she would be
yes.
an excellent running mate and an excellent vice president. I don't know whether President Biden has named his running mate. We're going to a convention next summer. It's a year away from now, and we're going to go through that process. So,
I mean, you say I don't know why you can say. The answer is you could say yes. You could say yes. I think Kamala Harris is the best vice president and the best running mate for President Biden. That's the answer you could be giving right now. Yes, she is.
So I've not seen any public opinion polling. You might be a stronger vice presidential running mate than her or me or anybody else. I don't know who else, if you're talking about the polling, but I will tell you as a matter of substance and public policy, she'd be an excellent choice.
Wow. And
she and the president have done an excellent job.
He even brings up the idea that they'll make that decision at the convention. The convention. So why are Democrats so reluctant to get behind Kamala Harris? Well, there are a couple of reasons. To start with, she has a terrible reputation in Washington as a bad administrator. Basically, the word on the street is that she's a bad boss. According to Politico, in an article sourced from 22 people who work or have worked in her office, the resounding view is singular, namely that her office is a terrible place to work. Here's a direct quote from one person in that office. People are thrown under the bus from the very top. There are short fuses, and it's an abusive environment. It's not a healthy environment, and people often feel mistreated. It's not a place where people feel supported, but a place where people feel treated like shh. In a testament to that idea that people are treated poorly in Harris's office, two top staffers, Carly Satz-Coates and Gabrielle DeFrancisi, parted ways with Harris 6 months into their jobs. That's right, 6 months. Now, from my experience, most employees try to stay at a job at least 1 year, if not 2. These two didn't last 6 months. And it doesn't stop there. The hits just keep on coming. Next to leave was Rajan Kaur, the director of digital strategies. The reason cited was that she didn't want to move from her home in Brooklyn to Washington, D.C. But if you're a Politico, leaving your home to move to D.C. is the way of the world, and she's young. I don't know how much I buy, personally, that was her excuse. But nonetheless, let's keep going. Next up, or rather out, was Communication Director Ashley Ituet, who moved on to pursue other opportunities, unquote. Soon after she left, who was next but Simone Sanders, Harris's chief spokeswoman? Next out, Peter Vels, Director of Press Operations, who went on to work at the State Department. He left a very nice tweet on his departure saying that he would be forever grateful to the Vice President and her team. Next to go was the Deputy Director of Public Engagement, Vince Evans, who is leaving to serve as the executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus. It got so bad that Joe Biden's office became worried about the dysfunction at Harris's office. But this issue of low morale, a harsh impersonal management style, and high staff turnover precede Harris's vice president. It started with Harris as presidential candidate. Her campaign made waves as Iowa State Director of Operations Kelly Mellenbacher departed with a blistering recommendation letter. in that it states that this is my third presidential campaign and I've never seen an organization treat staff so poorly. She goes on to torch the leadership of the campaign and its request for people to move from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore, only to fire them all weeks later. She paints the campaign as rudderless. And this is a woman who worked for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. Regardless of what you feel about Hillary Clinton, it's widely accepted that her campaign was a well-run organization. Kamala Harris's management style has been summed up in 2 terms: soul-destroying and brutal. Next, people are reluctant to support Harris because of her record. Not only does she have a record of running the same type of organization previously described in California as Attorney General of the state of California, but because of the perception, and let me repeat, the perception of her record. Look, Kamala Harris is in a strange space politically. She started her political career in the early 2000s as district attorney for San Francisco, and there was no such thing as a progressive prosecutor back then. There wasn't even that conversation. She did attempt heavily to try to be fair-handed and paid the price for it. She created one of the first criminal diversion programs for first-time nonviolent offenders, where her office would extract a guilty plea, but then after the plea was extracted, she would then place them in a program that would provide job training and career services to that person. And upon completion of that program, the felony conviction would be expunged and the person could then begin their life anew. She also pledged not to enforce the death penalty, and when a police officer was killed, she kept her pledge to not seek the death penalty and was flayed by the police unions and was rebuked publicly by Dianne Feinstein, who said if she had known that Harris would do something like that, she would never have endorsed her for district attorney. So when Harris wanted to become Attorney General for the state of California, she had to really try to placate the police unions and drive a hard line on law and order. The results are that while she has a terrible reputation among those who feel wrongly prosecuted by her and her office, like Jamal Truelove, a young black man who was prosecuted for a murder he clearly did not commit, and others who were treated as such, she still has a lot of support among community activists and organizers who are committed to justice reform. So her record among black people and among liberals isn't black and white, but rather it's checkered. However, part of the role of leaders is to lead and to have foresight to see not only where things are, but where things are going. So while Harris has had a keen ability to see where things are and to adjust politically, as evidenced by her rise from district attorney to vice president of the United States, she still leaves substantial questions around the idea of, does she have the ability to see where things are going and actually to get them there? And just like her views on law enforcement are checkered, so are the views of her in the progressive community. Finally, there's her deafness around people. Now, while some African Americans question her about her knowledge of and belonging to the black community, she is a member of the black American community. Her father was Jamaican and her mother Indian, so she is of both African and Indian descent. But her deafness among the electorate is an issue. In Iowa, in her presidential campaign, she started at 15% and went to 9% before she withdrew from the race. She has no other national political experience and does not seem to have a feel for the American people that is almost preternatural among great campaigners like Barack Obama or George W. Bush, who may have been a horrendous president in the views of some, but was extremely well liked on the campaign trail. You must have an instinct for people, and it is highly questioned whether Kamala Harris possesses this instinct. This combination of bad intra-office managerial skills, a checkered past when it comes to criminal justice, and questionable raw political skills leads people to question whether she is really the best candidate for vice president when the vice might be dropped at any minute with an octogenarian president. I guess it's one of those things to make you go, Signing off. Peace. Hey, if you like this video, please smash that like button and hit subscribe. We would love to see you again. So take it easy. Peace.